You are now watching The Silicon Diet. Welcome to your digest on the latest happenings in the space of AI, fundraisers in the Bay Area, and our insights into a variety of AI tools. This is Episode 2, RIP Bots?
Welcome back to The Silicon Diet, folks. I'm Abhirup, joined here by my favorite person, Adi.
Hello, everyone.
Awesome. So we got a packed podcast for you today, and I think Adi actually ran into someone who's a huge fan of the podcast. Adi, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, but first I want to say that it feels like an eternity since we recorded. So much stuff has happened. It's crazy.
It is pretty crazy, but yeah, I want people to know that we're blowing up, even though we're not posting consistently.
Yeah, we're blowing up. Guess what happened yesterday, or day before yesterday? I went to this event and I met the founder of Fal.AI, and he followed me on Twitter.
Huge.
You want to know more?
Okay, what? Yeah,
You
tell
want
me
to know
more.
more
Tell me
about
more.
what happened?
Mm-hmm.
It was super cool. Like, I went to this art-a-thon thing. It's a lot of events are happening because of the Dreamforce stuff. People are trying to capture some of the talent, meet new people, networking and stuff. So there was this event hosted by Fal.AI where people can generate art and maybe win a ticket to the generative art conference that's gonna come up soon. DeepMind demoed over there. They showed some new capabilities for some other things. Fal had a lot, like 30 people showed up, and the founders of Fal.AI were there too.
What does Fal.AI do for people who don't know what they do?
So Fal.AI is a model, is a platform which allows you to use all sorts of image models under one platform. So it's like an inference provider, I guess. So with one API, one, billing, you could access all sorts of image models and, whatever use case you have for your applications, or if you just want to, use a model once, you could just go to Fal.AI and use the model. But the reason that the founder of Fal.AI followed me was because of my playing cards business. For everybody who doesn't know, I make poker cards that are personalized through AI. So all the face cards are whoever you want them to be. It's really cool. Check out pokerface.ai. You'll really like it.
Hashtag always plug.
Always plug. Self-plug like Mr. Beast.
Nice. But yeah, I mean, honestly, we have a couple of those poker cards at home. It's always it's funny to be playing with those cards. To be honest, it's so personalized. I think it's a very cool idea. I think, and it's pretty cheap, dude. Right? Like,
It depends on who you ask. It's like $44 for a deck. But Gorkem, that's his name, the founder of Fal.AI. I went up to him. I was kind of nervous. I was just telling him how much of a, inspiration he's been, because he's allowed so many other people to build amazing applications using these image models. And then I pulled out the deck of cards I had, and he looked at them and he was like super impressed. Like, he took them out of the box, he like fanned them out, and he even called his other co-founder to see them. They were like squinting in the dark, so I had to like pull out my phone, open my flashlight, show, and they were like, wow, this is crazy. He told me that he wanted to buy a lot for his team and for his parents and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, what's the best way to contact you? And then he just opened his X and I typed in my, ad, and he started following me. I messaged him, but he didn't reply yet. So
No,
hopefully,
you missed the part. You missed the part where right before he followed you, he said, "Oh, you're the host of the Silicon Diet," and I listened to that last week.
if only he said that. If only he
But
said
yeah,
that.
anyways, for those of you who weren't listening, you can use code the Silicon Diet to get 10% off your first pack of cards on mypokerface.ai.
Actually, no, you just DM me and you'll get a super, super cheap deck. And yeah,
Or just according to Adi, 80% discount if you DM him. So you know what to do.
or use a hashtag or add us in a tweet, and then I'll reach out to you personally and give you a
Give
deck.
you a free deck.
Yeah, there
Nice.
you go. There you go.
Awesome, but yeah, like you said, man, like the last 3 weeks, intense. We had, the tech week following our podcast. It was Dreamforce last week. It feels like there's been 300 announcements. I don't know where to start. Do you want to get started with something? Do you have anything in mind? Or
Yeah, Abhirup's in India right now. That's why we're doing this like this. But
that's
I'm still in SF. I went to a bunch of Dreamforce events. It's so crazy. The vibe of the city was like the sidewalks are full. That's how busy it was.
Were the sidewalks full because of the National Guard by any chance?
It wasn't full because of the National Guard. I know Mark Benioff said that, but I don't like to get into controversies. It's, the security was amazing. Almost every single bar near that place had happy hours with free alcohol and food.
Free alcohol?
I literally, if you wanted to, you didn't have to cook or order. You could have ate the entire week for free and unlimited alcohol. Like, I was just going to places and people were just giving me 2 to 3 drinks. Like, waiters were coming and giving me 2 to 3 drinks randomly. Not even checking for ID, not even checking for anything.
But what do you learn at Dreamforce? How was your experience? Do you meet anyone interesting?
I went to the Deloitte concert. They had Alessia Cara. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. That was great.
Alessia
I've
Cara.
never seen so many partners from Deloitte like turn up like that. It was like a bottomless bar again. Like, the food was great. Hey, after
What
that
about the
there was like an
conversation,
after
Adi?
party with a lot of startups hosted it. It was at Hawthorne, so the entire
been there.
Hawthorne was booked out. Bottomless alcohol, free Chick-fil-A there. Like, they just had Chick-fil-A on a table, and you could take as many as you wanted. Anybody could come in. It's such a nice vibe. Very open. A lot of passion, energy. Oh, I would say another thing. The salespeople, they were like vultures. Like, I was sitting with a friend who was in sales for Hyperbound. He was just scouting these people like, oh, that guy looks like he's a founder. This guy looks like he's a director. And he got his team and he was like, you go there, I'll go here. Let's get some leads. It was pretty insane to see. Like, this was...
I know. I remember you texted me saying, "Yo, you should have been here and you should have been pitching your product." But yeah, I mean, it sounds like a great networking experience too. I think so many events and what I think I read an article that said $110 million in generated revenue over the course of the week for Dreamforce.
Yep.
Which is insane to think about.
So insane. Like 50,000 people attending. That's not even considering how many people came to support the event. This is just tickets, and each ticket, if you calculate it at, the final price is $2,200. That's a lot of money.
That's fair.
So many
But
people came, big names came. Sam Altman was there. Like everybody was talking about it. You know,
any big announcements from Salesforce at the event?
I'm not sure. I'm not too sure about that. Like, didn't really see a lot of major clips from Dreamforce, other than that picture of
I
Mark
think they
Ruffalo.
announced. I
Yeah.
think they announced like a collaboration with OpenAI.
Oh yeah,
And
they
they're
did.
also. I think they're partnering with Gemini, so you're going to see Gemini on the platform now.
Is that
AgentForce
surprising though?
360.
Like, of course,
Yeah,
these
yeah,
people are gonna
yeah,
partner with everyone they
yeah.
can. Speaking of partnerships, you want to talk about the AMD and Broadcom deal?
Yeah, man. Interesting week in the space of GPUs, hardware for AI, compute. Um, for those of you who don't know, OpenAI just announced that they're going to be building their own AI chips in partnership with Broadcom, um, and it's a very very big deal because we're starting to see people trying to reduce their dependence on NVIDIA over time. And I wouldn't even, I mean, I'm sure that has some level of, that has some role to play. But I think another key aspect is just we need so much more compute to achieve the level of automation we want, which essentially means it's an all hands on deck kind of situation, right? You have Google building their TPUs. There was, and there's some speculation around Anthropic starting to use TPUs to train, pre-train, post-training Claude itself, and I think there was some rumor about Google potentially investing in Anthropic all over again because they want them to use their TPUs. But yeah, all things considered, I think huge deal OpenAI and Broadcom. Adi, you wanna touch upon AMD because I think their stock shot up 10% too this week.
They did a similar deal or something. You were telling me about it.
Yeah. So AMD essentially is again getting into a partnership with Oracle, and what that basically means is they're trying to deploy 6 gigawatts of capacity starting the second half of 2026. I'd be interested to see how these foundational model providers are kind of building across so many different stacks because, with NVIDIA, we just had the universal CUDA standard, right, which everyone was working on, and that was NVIDIA's moat for the longest time. But as we start seeing some of these new architectures come in, it'll be interesting to see, how it all comes together because a lot of effort actually goes into grassroots level, GPU level programming. But yeah, I mean, money is flowing to these hardware providers right now. And I mean, rightfully so. Sam Altman said what they have like 100, was it 100 gigawatts?
Yeah.
100 gigawatts of GPU compute in the pipeline.
They said
And
no, they
as
have
of,
the ability to use 100 gigawatts of compute right now, and then they only have 10.
wow, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, insane. I mean, a bunch of these partnerships coming in with OpenAI. OpenAI also had a bunch of announcements during their dev day, which feels like an eternity ago, but it was literally like a week and a half ago.
Yeah, we could talk about
Sora
those.
2. Sora 2. Adi, have you been using Sora 2?
Yep, in order to get the invite code, my brother was like, you have to give me access to your cameo. And he's been like doing some crazy stuff with my cameo.
I saw a very real video of Adi celebrating after Tesla hit $1,000.
Yeah. We'll put that up so you guys can see what it looks like.
Yeah. Yeah, but man, 1 million downloads in the first 5 days, in spite of it being invite only, right? And it's just crazy. I think the first couple of days it was pretty smooth sailing, but I think people started getting moderated in terms of the kind of content they can create eventually. But I think they've kind of eased that down now. Pretty interesting that the estate of Martin Luther King reached out to OpenAI and said, can we please disable the cameo of Martin Luther King? Because we saw a bunch of very interesting videos of MLK on it. But yeah, it's interesting to see.
Did you see the Stephen Hawking ones?
Oh yeah, of course. Stephen Hawking in a skate park.
Stephen
Shout
Hawking,
out Theo.
WWE.
Theo, imagine Theo and Stephen Hawking in a skate park together. But yeah, that's a huge deal, man. I think there was a big argument there too, which is, hey, here's OpenAI trying to create funny videos of people, and this is the kind of advancement they're doing in the space of AI. Meanwhile, look at Google; they're trying to use AI to solve cancer. So, but all things considered, it's a huge leap. I mean, the kind of videos that are being generated using AI, text to video, is seeming to be solved to a very large extent. I think we're maybe like a year or two away from that.
There are a lot of gaps right now that they're working on to figure out, but it's getting crazier and crazier every day, just like the normal LLM models.
Yeah. OpenAI also launching a new agent builder. Adi, I don't know if you saw that, but it did send a lot of founders into panic, because a lot of companies in the Bay today are essentially building some form of a workflow, some form of an agentic AI workflow builder. N8N, massive company backed by Axel too. But I think a lot of mixed feedback with regards to the agent builder. I think what I saw and what, in my opinion, is very useful is the ability to build your own workflows on the agent builder. Just copy the agent ID off of the agent builder and use the OpenAI SDK, and you have access to the agent you just built using an API, right? That said, I think user interface wise, a lot of things can be better, but it's a V0.1 product, so
they
it's
built
a matter of
it
time
in
before it
6
gets better.
weeks.
Yeah, which is so insane. And we'll come back to this maybe later, but man, Codex has changed my life. It's so darn good, because the longest I managed to get Codex to work for me was like 6.5 hours.
That's insane.
And I'd say it was like 90% of the way there. It was a pretty big feature request, and it did a great job. And yeah, but other announcements from OpenAI, I think maybe a small announcement that they had.
We need a tutorial.
In my
from
opinion,
you need a tutorial. Codex workflow tutorial by Abhirup Ghosh.
Yeah, and the next part of what I'm about to say now would be an integral part is GPT-5 Pro is now available via the API. I don't know if I've been using GPT-5
He's
Pro.
flexing his $200 plan.
All things considered, it's by far one of the best models. There have been people who've solved unsolved physics problems using GPT-5 Pro in 30 minutes. And huge leap for sure. I think it is a very, very big deal in the space of developers, because now we have access to what was previously a ChatGPT only model via the API. But yeah, Adi, what do you think? I mean, with the announcement of applications in ChatGPT now, do you think OpenAI is trying to make ChatGPT like an operating system? Order me DoorDash, order me this, make a hotel booking, etc.,
100%. That would be the most logical play for them. I think it's called ChatKit, right?
It's called ChatKit.
SDK.
Yep.
It just it changes the game for how we use our devices and our chatbots. Like, if our chatbots have the capability to do the stuff we do on apps, let's say, I know that a lot of people open Airbnb to scroll through properties and look through listings, but if you could do the exact same thing in the chatbot with the exact specifications you provided through natural language, it like changes the game for so many applications. A lot of things become useless. A lot of iPhone apps become useless. This is like a direct, not attack, but this could affect iPhone's business for sure. Another
I mean,
thing
operating systems in general, right? Like, just staying on this for another minute. A lot of integrations got announced. Walmart partnered with OpenAI. Walmart stock shot up 5% because they're integrating both the agentic commerce protocol, which we spoke about last time, with the actual ability to buy things on Walmart.com using ChatGPT. But it's huge, and I think there was some chatter about why Amazon isn't doing this yet because again, largest marketplace in the world, why it makes so much sense for them to do it. But yeah, I think it's definitely a massive deal. Very excited to see where this kind of goes in terms of changing people's day-to-day life.
This is also an opportunity for builders to, start some business related to this. Like, so many giants were built on Shopify, WordPress. All these companies created billion-dollar companies on the side just through like plugins and associated things. This is an opportunity for people to get in early on this new way of customer interactions. So I just wanted to mention that too.
Yeah. Very cool stuff. Like we said, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a section for all of OpenAI's announcements every time we do this podcast because they're moving so quick.
All right.
Okay. What else do you want to talk about?
I wanted to talk about, we finally got a personal AI supercomputer that you could put in the palm of your hands on your desk. The new NVIDIA Spark. I don't know if you know a lot of details about this, but for $4,000, you could get basically a supercomputer. And I wanted to talk about how this changes the game, like not only for data centers, of course. Before I think in 2016 or something, Jensen announced a supercomputer like chip. It would take like 400 terabytes of some 400 units of power for the exact amount. Now it's down to like 40, like a 10x improvement for the same amount of compute, and something that you could buy for your home as well. Like, think about when we started off building houses. Of course, there was no electricity. We built it with mud. Slowly, as society progressed, we got electricity everywhere. We added copper wiring to houses, insulation. Then we added HVAC systems. Then we added our Ethernet bus. Now we have to add these supercomputers. This is the next step towards humans using supercomputers at home.
I mean, it raises an interesting question too, right? Because, look, I think based on what I know of about Spark, it's not powerful enough yet to host its own 400 billion parameter model, for example. But what it's kind of starting is the ability to prototype models locally, the ability to test things out, the ability to fine-tune locally potentially for smaller models, and more importantly, learn the architecture behind the NVIDIA chips. So once you're able to test on a dev environment, you're able to eventually scale that up much bigger. But that kind of brings us to the whole question about how much of the future of AI is going to be on-prem, on device versus the cloud, right? Because for me personally, I feel like, take my data. If anyone wants to take my data, as long as you have a privacy policy that doesn't ideally share it with someone else, and as long as it improves my quality of life, by all means, take my data and put it on the cloud, right? Because I think at least the state of the industry today is that it's very hard to build this kind of compute locally at your house. Also, how many people do you think are going to shell out $4,000 to run a 30 billion parameter model without quantization?
Well,
right?
You're missing the point, I think, because the cloud models, they have their own use case, right? The better the state-of-the-art SOTA models get, the better the diffusion models get. So if you want super fast inference, which in a lot of cases pertaining to the physical world, you need super fast inference, and that could only be done locally.
Why? Why though?
Because of internet bandwidth constraints and stuff like that.
But I mean, I see the appeal. I hear what you're saying for sure. But what I think is, and this is a very opinionated stance, I don't see a future, at least for the next 3 to 5 years, where we're able to have extremely powerful small language models capable of running on device. And when I say extremely powerful, I mean, let's say GPT-5 Pro level intelligence on device. I don't see that happening in the next 3 to 4 years at the very least. Clip this and we'll come back to it maybe in a year and you're going to say you were wrong. But that's where my head's at right now.
The definition of powerful will just keep on changing. So
yeah, that's true. Speaking of all of this fine-tuning stuff, the largest seed round in history, Thinking Machines, who raised $2 billion a couple of months ago, headed by Abhirup and Adi, they launched their first product. It's called Thinker. Adi, have you heard of it?
I haven't heard of it.
People have been pretty curious to know what Thinking Machines, safe superintelligence have been working on. I think this is giving us a good glimpse. Tinker is basically, I think right now it's positioned as a research-only tool, wherein it basically helps you fine-tune open source models, right? And when I say fine-tune, they've kind of broken the problem down really well into 4 pieces, similar to how you would look at a neural network. So they have 4 functions that they defined. One is called forward backward, which basically means you do a forward pass through your neural network, you get an output, you compare it with your ideal output, you back propagate, and then you get a gradient, right, which is calculated. Then they have something called optim step, which basically updates the weights based on the calculated gradient. They have a function called sample, which basically helps you run the end-to-end workflow. So for a given output, it'll generate for a given input, it'll generate an output. And then you're also able to checkpoint all of those using a save state function, right? But what this is enabling researchers to do is it's making it a lot easier for them to kind of get into the granular details of how a model works without making it extremely complicated, right? I definitely don't think that this is the end goal for thinking machines, but what the vibe that I got using Tinker is that they are probably using something very similar internally to do whatever they want to do in terms of their end goal, right? So fascinating stuff because, again, this is kind of tying back to your personal AI aspect, wherein I think a lot of models need to be fine-tuned for specific use cases, and this is enabling you to do exactly that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, very very interesting development.
Really cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there okay? What do we want to talk about? Mad Max?
Mad Max, FSD V14. I've been watching so many videos of, Tesla's new software, FSD 14, for those of you that are not big Tesla fans like me. FSD 13 didn't have an update, which is a version of the full self-driving software in Teslas. They didn't have an update for around, I think it was 10 months. And they just launched their first new model, which has 10x more parameters and is faster. Can you imagine that? 10x more parameters and a faster reaction time on the same hardware. Whatever
It's
Tesla's
insane.
cooking up, their team is amazing. So they launched a new profile called Mad Max, and it weaves through traffic like we've never seen before.
What is a profile for those of us who don't know?
Profile is just like they have 4 profiles: Mad Max, Hurry, Standard, and Sloth. So I guess people can infer what that is. Like, depending on your comfort level, you could choose a mode and just let it take you anywhere. But the one thing that FSD 14 improved on that everybody noticed is the last segment of your drive. So FSD 13 really struggled to figure out where to go after you reach the destination. Should you park on the street? Should you go in your garage? Should you find a parking spot in the parking lot? Now, FSD 14 has a feature where you could choose where you want to park, and it was designed to make sure it completes the drive end to end without you interfering. And another thing, it could go in drive-throughs. I don't know if
That's so cool.
I don't know if you
That's so cool.
seen those videos, but from the data it collected of normal cars driving through drive-throughs, it understands where to stop, when to go, because it also has that camera inside the vehicle, which they could train the model on.
That's a game change. That would be a game changer for me if I had a Tesla, because I've curbed my wheels in a drive-through multiple times.
Yeah.
So if it's able to drive through for me, man, that's game changing actually. That's
Now,
sick. I mean, what I heard based off of this news is that I think Waymo is starting to take notes, and I think what I heard is that Waymo is trying to reduce their reliance on LiDAR and trying to increase what percentage of their model depends on vision, which is, again, man, Elon just has aura. You have to give it to him. It's so sick. I mean, yeah,
he's like people say 10-year thinkers, but he's like a 30-year thinker. He wants to go to
yeah,
Mars, so whatever it takes.
yeah,
LiDARs are heavy.
whatever.
They can't fit on the rockets. So,
Yeah, yeah,
speaking
yeah.
of crazy things happening in the autonomous world, you want to talk about Figure?
Go for it. What is?
So,
Explain it to me. Is it humanoids?
Figure just launched their new humanoid that they've been hyping up for a really long time. It's called Figure 3. They put the launch video, I think it was last week. Amazing. If for those of you who are following the humanoid space, you know how slow some of these updates have been. But they said that they designed Figure 3 to scale to 1 million robots. So
Wow.
whatever manufacturing capabilities they have, I hope they ramp up soon. I hope it gets in the hands of more people. I hope there's an open source kind of code base and ability to control these robots. But this just opened a whole new industry. And if you guys are interested, or all these builders out there, make sure to get in early on it, because it's going to be one of the biggest. It has the highest TAM, the biggest addressable market ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people have been criticizing it too, because they didn't really put it in the hands of customers. They just did like a curated video on their social media. But I can't wait for this to come in the hands of people.
Makes sense. Yeah, I think what else? There's one other thing I've been meaning to talk about, which is Anthropic launching a couple of things. Haiku 4.5 came out. Very cool. It's got the same level of intelligence as Sonnet 4, and I think it's at a third of the cost, which is really cool. So again, like we said last time, cheap models are getting good models are getting more expensive.
So what are these cheap models good for? What's the utility for these?
That's a great question. I think. Look, I think what I've noticed, and I'm looking at this from the lens of coding. I'm not too certain about what the other use cases would be, but I'm sure there's a bunch of them. What Haiku and some of these smaller models like Grok Code Fast are really good at is, first of all, they're blazing fast, right? So it's able to look through your code base, perform a lot of information gathering across your code base really fast, right? One of the workflows that I've been using, and I won't get into this too much because we have a video coming up about it. Subscribe if you want to watch that. But essentially, I use a coding agent like Claude Code or Codex to look through my code base when I want to implement a specific feature, and I ask it to look through the code base and identify relevant sections of my code base which would be potentially impacted by this feature. That entire process has come down to maybe 30 seconds to a minute now because of a model like Haiku, right? Which is so insane to think about, because again, it's basically Sonnet 4 intelligence. It's much faster, it's much cheaper, and it's able to look through my entire code base a lot faster and perform actions that otherwise would have taken a bunch of minutes. But yeah, I think outside of that, it's just a cheaper model. A lot of these coding agents, like AMP Code, for example, just launched a free tier where it's using Haiku, but they have ads, right? So you're seeing that the entire space of coding agents is being opened up to a lot more people, because now it's just available for free with ads, though. But yeah, it's
pretty
sick.
crazy.
Yeah.
I would never use a model with ads. I would never trust it.
Well, it's coming soon, buddy.
I would never use a model with ads.
It's yeah. You know what? Maybe this is kind of where personal AI comes into, right? Just getting bogged down by ads and all your foundational model providers 2 to 3 years from now. So you're just like, I'm going to buy 5 NVIDIA Sparks and I'm just going to run my own DeepSeek 13 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
4 years
I mean,
later.
I would get ads if I could get if I could use it for free. If I could get Opus 4.5 for like unlimited usage with ads, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But big week. I think one last thing I wanted to touch upon. This is, again, just hearing this news set me aback a little. There's a company called General Intuition, which just launched a $133.7 million seed round. And these guys, again, backed by Khosla Ventures, they're trying to build foundational models dedicated to games and the real world. What they're trying to say is, look, all the foundational models that we have as of today are good at reading text, potentially reading images, and responding in text or images, right? But what these guys are trying to solve for is the ability to identify the intent and the ability to actually act based on the identified intent across diverse environments, right? So what that basically means is they're going to be able to they're going to be able to play video games. They're going to be able to interact with the real world. And if you think about video games in general, it's such a cool way to train a model because you can basically generate infinite training data, right? You just get an AI to move a controller around. It's like a RL gym in the real world, which is so interesting to think about. And I'm surprised not more people are doing this. But yeah, huge round, $133.7 million seed round.
That's insane. I don't even know the name of the person that's, the CEO or anything.
Yeah, but they have a crack team. They're based out of New York City and Geneva. Again, not based out of the Bay, which is another very surprising thing.
Yeah.
Some chatter, some banter going around. People dropping out of YC.
Oh yeah, that's so funny. I'm dropping out of YC to go back to high school.
Yeah, funny stuff. What else? Are we missing anything, Adi?
I think that pretty much covers the main news. I don't want to get people too bogged down with all the things that are going on. That's why we try to curate some of the things we find interesting that happened over the past couple of weeks. But yeah, I think we covered a lot. This was a really great podcast.
Yeah, I think big couple of weeks. Sign up to our newsletter. It's available on our website, thesilicon.com. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you're listening.
Check out mypokerface.ai.
Check out mypokerface.ai. Use code thesilicon.diet for 10% off. Or reach out to Adi if you'd potentially be interested in getting sponsored. All right. Yeah, great podcast, Adi. I think covered a lot. Big couple of weeks. Excited to see what's coming up.
Really, really great podcast. A lot of news covered. Excited. Super excited.
Yeah. Any plugs? Subscribe to the channel.
Go to mypokerface.ai to get the cards. Other than that, nothing.
Use code thesilicon.diet for 10% off. Also check out our website. We have a newsletter that's starting out now. It's going to go out once a week with a digest of everything you need to know. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Catch you in the next one.
All right, peace out.
See ya.